Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, even if you are a returning visitor, you may be wondering what the heck is going on here, right? Well, I might be beginning a new series on this channel. Now, if you've been here before, you know that I've done 3 deep dive series, right? I did a year deep dive into the Continental Tarot system, and then I did a year-long deep dive into the Thoth system, and I'm in the middle of my 3rd deep dive into the Lenormand system. So apparently I like deep dives, and I've decided I want to do a deep dive review series on the channel. I'm not making promises yet. I need to see if I can fit it into my schedule, but that is my hope, that this will be a new series. And I'm going to call it, Deep Dive into a Deck. So this is going to be a deck dive series. I think it's clever. If you think it isn't, let me know in the comments below. So this is going to be my deck dive series, where I'll choose a deck, I'll work with it privately for a month, and at the end of that month, I will come and do a review of it, a deep dive review. I've got the first one all picked out. I've gotten the first one completed, and I'm recording it now. I've got the second deck chosen, which I will begin working with probably tomorrow, and then a month later I will put out a video. But if you want to suggest a deck that you would like me to work with for the 3rd video or the 4th video or the 5th video, let me know either in the comments below, or I'll put a post up in the community tab, and I'll give you an opportunity to chime in and let me know, what would you like to see me work with? And if I can get my grubby little hands on it, I will do my best to do that for us, for our community. Okay? So, friends, like I said, I've got the first deck done. I've worked with it for about a month, and it is the Good Fortune Tarot by the brilliant Barbara Moore. Love Barbara Moore's work. I've learned a lot from her in the past and with this deck. And the illustrator, the artist, is Jessica Rue, who is also the artist of the Woodland Warden's Oracle. Full disclosure, I have ordered the Woodland Warden's Oracle, and I had hoped that I would have it here with me now so that I could do a side-by-side reading and we could look at Jessica Rue's art in the Tarot and the Oracle cards together, and unfortunately that's not going to happen in this video. But if you'd like to see me do that, do a shortish reading with this deck and the Woodland Wardens, let me know in the comments below. I will try to make that happen. Okay? So, again, wonderful deck by Barbara Moore and Jessica Rue. It was published by Llewellyn in 2024. It's a mass market deck. It's very easy to get. I'll have a link in the description box for an Amazon page. I don't get any money if you use that link, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and use that link, and or order it from Barnes & Noble. You could get it at probably any bookseller. It's a wonderful deck. Well, I will tell you how wonderful it is, or if there's any nuance to that descriptor of wonderful at the end of this video. So, I have spent a bit of time working with this, and if you're interested in watching me tell you about that, stay tuned. We'll do the intro clip to this channel, and then we will turn the camera down and we will dive into the deck together. Are you all ready, friends? Well, if you are, stay tuned and watch me dive into the first deck. Here we go. Here we are with the Good Fortune Tarot. Let me give you my first impressions first. Yeah. The packaging, I think, is really good. It's a sturdy box. It has a clamshell opening. It's beautifully designed. Well, let me show you the outside of the box. Here's the front. Here's the back. And on the back, we've got a really good blurb, right? Fate, destiny, fortune. These cards can tip them in your favor. When you're tossed about by fate and pulled along by destiny, Good Fortune Tarot shows you how to squeeze every drop of luck from even the direst situations. So this really is a deck to help us enhance our fortune and luck and how we move through and enjoy existing in this 3D space, right? Well, we'll get to cardstock in just a moment. But so this is a very nicely produced box by Llewellyn. Like I said, it's a clamshell box. On the inside, we have your cards don't do anyone any good, closed away in their box, even if they are wrapped in silk. This is by Simone Benoit, The Rules of Fate and Destiny. We'll get to her in just a moment because she is a key player in the use of this deck. So, wonderful, wonderful box. We've got a ribbon to pull out both the book and the cards. So I will do that now. I'll pull out the book and the cards. So yes, the packaging is very good. The card backs, this is what the backs look like. Let me put the box to the side for just a moment. This is what the backs look like. And here is the guidebook. The guidebook, you can see, is very, it's content rich. We've got edging to the sides of the pages. It's on a semi-gloss cardstock for the cover, and the pages are also semi-gloss. So it's a really good production for the guidebook as well. The art style, you can see from the cover of the guidebook, is very modern graphic art style. It's very nice, easy on the eye for us modern people. The guidebook does have an intentional fold in the cover so that with use you don't get that same kind of cracking in the cover, right? It's placed there intentionally to help us use the book and protect the finish on the book. Very nicely done. The guidebook has full page color images of all of the cards. Let me show you the inside. So here's, we see the full image of the Death card, we see the full image of the Tower card, and that continues on into the Minor Arcana. Here's the Two of Swords, right? And the good thing is that this full image gives you really a deep perspective on all of the details of the cards. Yeah, we can see all of the minutia of the artwork, which is wonderful, because I think we can read this deck very nicely in an intuitive, symbolic, what does the image tell us kind of way. And having this large image is very helpful. One thing that is a little bit on the, I wish it were a little bit different side, is that you notice that, for example, here's the Four of Swords, and this is the beginning of the Four of Swords entry. Now, for each entry, what do we have? We have a brief description of the card, we have information about what the card means upright, and then we have information about what the card means in reverse, and then we have a little excerpt from an imaginary book called The Rules of Fate and Destiny by Simone Benoit. Very nicely done. But then you'll notice that the next page begins the information about the next card, the Four of Pentacles. Now, okay, so the guidebook is arranged by number rather than suit, which is, I think, good for this particular deck. But you see, we have the Four of Pentacles, the description, the upright meaning, and then we have the image next to the reverse meaning. So in this category of I wish it were a little bit different, it doesn't really bother me, but when I look at the description of the card and I see the upright meaning, I would like to be able to look at the image at the same time. I understand why they did this. It's layout, saving paper, all of that is wonderful stuff. But still, I would have preferred being able to see the image right next to the description of the card. Yeah? Okay, so guidebook, very, very nicely done. And we'll look at the guidebook a little bit more in just a moment. What I would like to mention about the box before we completely put it aside is that while it is a good box, and I was not precious with the box, I mean, I didn't sequester it away in a corner so that it would not get any damage. I carried it around with me several times. So it held up very well, except for one little thing. Yes, here it is. You'll notice that the paper here is starting to come away from the box, yeah? Can you see? I think you can see that. See, this paper was originally very nicely attached, and now the glue is starting to loosen. So this guidebook, this box is probably not a take it out with you every time you go read kind of box. It's durable-ish, yes, but it will show damage, I think. Okay, so packaging, cards. Let's talk about the artwork, work and design for a moment. Yeah, things I loved about the cards are, one, the diversity. I've got some cards separated out, but let's look at the cards here. We have a good diversity of people. Yeah, we have diversity of skin tone. Yeah, we have dark skin tones, we have light skin tones, we have blonde hair, we have black hair. And yes, I did begin reading with this deck in reversals. We also have age differences. Let me see if I can find you a card that gives us some age here. Okay, so here, the King of Swords, not exactly the youngest guy in the bunch, right? We have body diversity. Now, I didn't see anything that pointed towards different abilities. But we do have children, we have middle-aged people, we have a couple of elders, we have a diversity of body shape, yes? So all of that is wonderful. Look at that King of Cups. Love that King of Cups. Yeah? So a lot of diversity. The cards that I particularly liked are in this little pile that I set aside. Where are you? Where are you? My pile that I set aside. Here they are. Let's start off with the first one that I really, really liked, which is the Page of Wands. This card came up for me several times. Things I loved about this card are, I love the fire on the wand. I love that the pages are not all female. They are not all female from what I recall, but there's a diversity of gender for the entire deck, yeah? And we'll get to that even in a little bit too, later. Love the bees flying around. Yeah, the bees are symbolic of passion and work and energy, which are wonderful things to include on a Wands card, right? Especially a Page of Wands. I also love the Temperance card. What do I love about the Temperance card? I love that, look at this water. Look how it's flowing so easily. Look how we have two different colored cups here, right? For me, calls to mind the alchemy of the gold and silver, the sun and moon. And I think of the Temperance card as a card of alchemy, as well as harmony and other meanings, right? But also notice here, we have what look like the chakras. Well, they are the chakras, right? The root chakra in red, we've got the sacral chakra in orange, we've got the solar plexus here in yellow, we've got the heart in green, we can see blue here at the throat. We see what looks like white at the third eye chakra. Now, I would personally have more chakras there. I would put an indigo one here and a purple one here at the crown, and I would put a white one here for the soul star chakra, and I'd maybe even put a brown black one down here for the earth star chakra. There are many ways of conceiving and numbering and organizing the chakras, but having that element here was, I think, very helpful for me. Another thing that I really liked was the Four of Swords, which we saw in the book already, right? I love that. Can you see this? Do you remember in the Smith-Waite deck, there is a knight with a stained glass window up here. And in that stained glass window, we can vaguely see, it could have been intentional and might not have been intentional, but it looks like the word pax, which means peace, is in the window. So we have that word inscribed right here, pax. I love that the four swords are pointing in towards the head, which is also a glow. Yeah? I also love that the hand of the figure is on his, her, or their, very gender neutral figure, right? On their heart. Love all of that. And we still have that sort of pseudo-medieval feel to the card as well. I love the raven coming in, which gives us a heightened sense of thoughts coming in. Now, some of the, if we look, well, let's look at the guidebook. Let's open the guidebook to look at what the Four of Swords is pointing towards. Yeah? Let me read this for you. Fate. They, notice that gender neutral they, look like angels when they are sleeping. Our minds are capable of amazing feats, glorious and hideous, mundane and holy. The number of thoughts we have per day is ironically mind-blowing. There are entire practices devoted to slowing or emptying or calming the mind, i.e. meditation, right? It's a most elusive yet desired state. No matter the surrounding cards, the Four of Swords ensures a calm approach, the mind at rest, and peace prevails. Pax, peace, right? The mind at rest. Good fortune, peace, and promises. There is nothing, now this is the description of meaning or significance of the card. There is nothing explicit in this card that indicates a problem. However, this is the suit of swords. If the querent has a problem or the surrounding cards indicate one, the Four of Swords becomes the means to a solution. The halo of peace suggests that the mind is or can become a sacred space capable of receiving divine messages and guidance. So these swords can be the reception of divine messages and guidance. We see the halo of peace around the head. The suit of swords exalts reason but does not reject all non-measurable phenomena. Dreams are an activity of the mind and therefore not as woo-woo as some think. So the figure at rest is, or in sleep, is significant for the reading of this card, right? In the most dramatic interpretation, this card suggests the answer to a problem will come in a dream. Again, thinking of information coming into the mind at rest, right? Or during sleep. Less dramatically, it indicates the benefit of a period of convalescing. Distance enhances perspective, something most humans could use more of. Yes? Now, let's look at the reverse meaning. Yeah, reversal of fortune. Time to wake up. As both the great songs of sacred texts tell us, there is a time for all things. The time for rest is over. So reversed, we've got, you've been resting, time to stop. The sensible, slow, thoughtful approach to a situation or the reasonable recovery time is sliding into procrastination or worse, avoidance of life. So we're taking that rest to an extreme. Time to stop. We might feel weak or sensitive from hiding in the quiet and the dark, but in truth, we are fully prepared to face whatever comes next. So, most of the reversals of the cards when read through this guidebook point towards the significance of the card pushed to an extreme where it's time to stop, yeah? Or time to make a course correction. Now let's read this blurb from Simon Benoit. Many are suspicious of the Four of Swords, with fair reason. However, this is mental peace and not the mental disturbance of the Nine of Swords. Although if that card shows up with the Four, a disturbance is either coming or going, depending upon position. So in this extra blurb, we get extra information about the cards. Sometimes when cards are paired up, it really is helpful extra information. And sometimes the writing of Simon Benoit that is included in this guidebook is a little bit snarky, a little bit sarcastic, but that's wonderful. It adds a lot of interest and fun to reading the guidebook. Okay, so a couple more cards that I really liked from this deck were the Magician. Love the Magician. Yeah? The Magician, I love that there's this Tarot de Marseille feel to this Magician rather than the Smith-Waite or even the... Well, there you could make an argument that there's a little bit of a Thoth influence with the way that the Magician is juggling this stuff in space, and the Thoth's Magus seems to be juggling stuff in space as well. But the feel of this Magician, rather than being a high magician priest-like figure, we have what looks like a street magician, right? We still have the tools. We have the cup, we have the pentacle, we have the wand, we have the sword, but we also have cups and die. We have cards here, could be tarot cards, but they could be playing cards, find the queen, right? Yeah, this could be a trickster, it could be a mountebank, it could be a hustler of some sort. So we don't have necessarily the as above, so below feel to this deck. Even though we do have roses and lilies, we've got elements of both the Smith-Waite and the Marseille, and maybe a touch of Thoth, all mixed into this one deck, which I generally dislike, but in this particular card, in this particular deck, I find helpful. Yes? So, the last one I want to point out that I really liked is the Strength card. Yeah, I love her. I love that we have the roses here, what looks like a lemniscate around both of them. I love that we have, also her hat is in the shape of the lemniscate, sort of like both the Thoth, well, I'm sorry, not the Thoth, the Tarot de Marseille. Whereas in the Rider-Waite, we have the lemniscate floating above her head. We've got the lemniscate in the hat in this one, echoing the Tarot de Marseille. I also love, do you see this little mouse up there in the tree? There are extra animals in the deck which show up in many different cards and helps us add an extra layer of symbolism to the cards, but also helps us to link cards together. So if a mouse shows up here and it shows up here, we see more of a connection between those cards, right? That makes sense? So I love this a lot. There's just one card in the deck that I did not love entirely, and that is the World card. Why? It's not because of the lady in the center. I love her. I love her dress. I love her body. I love her skin tone. I love that she's holding both a cup and a wand in her hand. We've got that fire and water element. I love that there's an Orphic egg down here at the base of the laurel wreath. I love all of that. I love that she seems to be in the midst of moving through this liminal space from one world into another. I love all of that. What I do not love are the creatures in the corners. Not because what you might be thinking. I'm not so rigid that, for example, this has to be the angel. This has to be the lion. This has to be the bull. This has to be the eagle. Right? I'm not that strict. However, looking at this card, I'm curious, why are these elements or these animals, these beings chosen for these four corners? So let me tell you. Originally in the cards, and I am a little bit of a stickler on this should be fire, this should be earth, this should be water, this should be air. However, the bee in this deck is fire. You remember seeing the bee on the wands cards, right? So for me, this bee should be down here. The fish is water. That's in for me, the quote-unquote right place. So I am a stickler about that. Full disclosure. The owl is air. So for me, this owl should be up here where the bee is. And honestly, if this mouse were not here, I could still go with it. I could still say, okay, we've put the elements in different corners. I am okay with that, even though it irritates me just a little bit. However, if we look in the guidebook, the mouse is not the animal that was chosen to signify earth. The mouse is to signify courage, fear, and love. The animal that was chosen in the guidebook for earth, remember, this is air, this is fire, this is water, we're missing earth, is the rabbit. So this should be the rabbit, but it's not the rabbit. And that irritates me even more, just personally. So this card, I love the art, I love the woman, I love everything. The animals in the corners make me very unsatisfied. Okay, except for this card, no problems with the rest of the deck. This is the only thing that bugged me. So considering that's a really small thing, right? That's not going to keep me from using this deck at all. I love this. Again, I love the repeated inclusion of the animals. I love that there are bees everywhere. I love there are owls, there are rabbits, there are flying fish everywhere. Those are all wonderful things. So, for example, let's pull back the... okay, here's the hermit. Yeah? We see the owl flying away, the air. We get that idea of thought moving, right? So if this card and this card were together in a reading, we might say, oh, so our thoughts, the element of air, that is important for this reading, right? Okay, so I really do like all of that in this deck. Okay, so let's see. What do I want to talk about next? The more I use this deck, the more I notice those little animals. I also noticed people's gestures more and more as I worked with the deck. Let me see if I can pull out a peaceful gestury kind of card. Yeah, for example, I love this 10 of Cups card. Right? The way that the children are playing, I love the couple seated on the ground next against a tree, looking very relaxed. I love that there's one in particular that I'm thinking of when I think of gesture, and that is Oh, where are you? Well, okay, so maybe I'll just let you know that I love the gestures of people in this deck, and the gestures really spoke to me. Here, okay, so here's the one I was thinking, the Hierophant. Yeah, we noticed that these two. Well, the Hierophant is doing the blessing gesture, one arm up, one arm down. I love that this figure here is raising his, her, or their hand. Could be male, could be female, could be non-binary, right? Love that this figure here is playing. So we've got two different attitudes of students for this one. And these two look much more like students than lower ranking priests as they might look in a Tarot de Marseille deck, or even perhaps a Smith-Waite deck, right? I love that these are young student people. I love that this wants to be getting the right answer, is trying to get the attention of and is getting the attention of the teaching Hierophant, whereas this figure seems to be interested in playing and discovering on maybe her own. Yeah? So love this card. Love that card. Love other gestures too. Cardstock for this deck is lovely. It's a linen finish. It shuffles very, very nicely. I will actually, let me give you a short demonstration of shuffle here. Yeah? If you know me, you know that I am a riffle shuffler. So if that disturbs you, look away from the camera now. But look, that is so. Yeah, it's such a wonderful, wonderful overhand, riffle shuffle. Listen to this. Yeah, and look how well that shuffles. And then bridging. It's just wonderful to use. And overhand, if you know me, you know that I am a total klutz when it comes to overhand shuffling. Yeah, but the cards are not slipping away, nor are they clumping together. And that was true from the first shuffle with this deck. Love the cardstock. However, one little thing. After a month of use, you can see it's already starting to chip a little bit. Yeah? Now, again, I'm not precious with my cards. I use them. And this bit of chipping will, I'm sure, can be taken care of with edging. If I were to do some edging, the deck is not edged, right? But I do. It's a very usable deck. I think it's durable. It's durable, however, it does chip a little bit. Even for a shuffling klutz like me. The guidebook, we talked about the guidebook, the upright reversed significances in the guidebook. One little problem with the guidebook, I love the guidebook except for one little thing. That one little thing is the section on the court cards. Yeah? All four court cards for each one of the suits. So again, the court cards are arranged by person, not by suit. So we have all 4 pages. And all of the information for the pages here is in this little blurb. And really, it's only in this blurb. And really, what it says is the pages are basically neophytes of their element. And they're learning. That's pretty much what it says. So you're really on your own when it comes to reading the court cards, in my opinion. Simone Benoit's additional comments here are very, very helpful. They're clever, but I would have liked more information about the court cards, truly. Let's see. Oh, so who is this Simone Benoit? Simone Benoit, this is what's called pseudepigrapha. Pseudepigrapha means extra comments by an imagined writer of an imagined text. So the imagined text that is created by Barbara Moore is The Rules of Fate and Destiny, and the author, Simone Benoit, is an imagined author. So we have, this is pseudepigrapha. Yeah? And sometimes Simone Benoit, the creation of Barbara Moore, is a little bit snarky about Barbara Moore, which makes it even more clever and more fun and more entertaining to read. Again, her additional comments as this pseudo Simone Benoit are very helpful and very informative, I think. Let's see. One thing I did want to mention about the guidebook is that even if you don't read with the guidebook, if you just want to read this deck Smith-Waite style, no problems whatsoever, I believe. However, if you do want to include the somewhat Tarot de Marseille additional significances into your reading, this guidebook really is helpful. Even if you aren't familiar with Tarot de Marseille, this guidebook gives you some, like a dash of extra flavor, is what I would describe it as. And those references back to TDM, Tarot de Marseille, are scattered throughout the guidebook, and the cards as well, especially, for example, the Magician, with what we talked about, and the Death card, which we already saw. Let me bring it back up to you. Yes, the Death card in Tarot de Marseille has no name. The Death card has no name in this deck. But I love the dancing figure of the Death card. I love the Orphic egg within the Death card, is signifying something ready to be born again. Something new to be born from this death experience, right? Lovely, lovely stuff. The guidebook is easy to use. The spreads in the back are wonderful. I used all of them and I found them all helpful. There are, let's see, how many spreads? There are 5 spreads, I believe. Let me show them to you now. The first one is the Good Fortune spread, which I'm thinking of doing with you here. The next one is the Hand of Fate spread, which is a 3-card spread. Fate's Move, Free Will, and the Hand Ends. The idea for this deck is that there are levels, right? Fate, Destiny, Free Will. And how they interact is how this guidebook is reading the cards. So fate is that which, things that are bound to happen. Destiny is that which we are here to do, and free will is what we want to do. Right? That's just generally how those 3 are understood in the context of this deck. The Call of Destiny spread, I enjoyed doing this one. That was a really good spread to do. It really helped me, especially because the first card is what Destiny is pointing me towards. And then these 4 cards give us what my mind is doing, what my heart is doing, what my will is doing, and what the body is doing. And the way we read this spread is this top card is pulled from the major arcana, so you have to separate your deck out. And then these 4 cards are pulled from the minor arcana. Not the minor arcana, the court cards. So we have to separate the court cards out, we have to separate the major arcana cards out, and we pull 1 from the majors and 4 from the court. And I found it to be a very helpful, useful spread. And let's see, there is one more, I believe, 2 more. There are 2 more. Yeah, Making Choices spread, very good. And a good yes-no spread, using a lot of cards. And when you use this spread, what do? You lay out the cards and you look at the numbers. Yeah, 2, 4, 6, and 8, and 10 are even. Aces 3, 4, 5, 7, 9 are odd. And the major arcana are evens, and the court cards are odd. And so you look at how many even cards and how many odd cards there are, and that determines whether even for yes, odd for no. So if it's more even, it's probably yes. If it's more odd, it's probably no. If they're all odd, it's a hard no. If they're all even, it's a hard yes, right? And then you read the spread. So it's a really interesting way of reading, and I enjoyed reading it. I found it helpful. So Book, very, very good. How does the deck read after a month? I found that the cards have really strong symbolic richness, yeah? For example, we've got a lot of what we need from a tarot deck. We've got the Hierophant wearing Hierophant-like clothes. The hat is a little bit different, but we get that sense of received power, right? That hat signifies having been given authority, right? We have the gestures, which are symbolic. We have the students in acolyte clothing, which is symbolic, right? We have in the Queen of Wands, you see the bees there, reminding us of the fire, passion, courage, right? We have the wand on fire, which I love. We've got the black cat there at her side. We've got she's sitting on a beehive. What could be better than that? Beautiful, beautiful. The dress, look at that dress, the fire in the dress as well. Yeah, we got the Knight, for example, the Knight of Pentacles, riding the animal of the earth, right, around mushrooms. And this Knight doesn't, even though the rabbit could be moving quickly, this Knight does not look like he is moving quickly, or she is moving quickly, or they are moving quickly, right? This deck is just very symbolically rich. Look at the Queen of Cups pouring out her cup, right? All of the sea creatures on her throne, right in front of a beautiful ocean. Look at the pearls in her crown. A lot to read into these cards. And I learned a way of reading where, for example, you pull out 3 cards. Yeah, you've perhaps done a 3-card spread, and I'll lay it out this way. Perhaps you've done a 3-card spread. And so now you want to get what is called a synthesis card. So what do? You look at this Queen of Cups and you pick one thing in the card that signifies the essence of the meaning of this card in this spread. So, for example, in this one, it could be the cup that is being poured, right? Maybe pouring of something. And for this card, maybe you were looking at the mushrooms. Maybe the mushrooms here, being a slow-growing plant, seems significant to you. So we got a cup, we've got a mushroom, and then maybe here we've got what? Maybe her crown is what draws you. So crown, a cup, and mushrooms. So then what you would do is you would look through the deck and try and see, maybe there's a card that has mushrooms on it, a crown perhaps, and what did I say? Mushrooms, crown, and a cup. Maybe. Okay, I don't see any mushrooms there. So this one has mushrooms. We don't see a crown or a cup, but okay. Let's see. Don't see any mushrooms there. Did I mention that I decided to read this deck with reversals? So what you'd do is you'd go through and try and find a card that has okay, so maybe you don't find mushrooms. Maybe you think, okay, so it's not mushrooms, it's plant life. So maybe you look for plants and a cup and maybe a hat or a crown or something like that. Yeah, so let's see. No plants. Okay, plants, crown. And these bowls could be a cup. So maybe you land on Justice, having these cups, these plants, and a crown on her head. Maybe this becomes your synthesis card. And then you read this as, so what is the main or essential purpose of this spread? Does that make sense? Okay, anyways, so I think this card deck being so symbol rich makes it easy to use in a very in a variety of ways. And it's an intuitive read, right? There's so much to see in each card that even if you're not pulling out meanings, you don't have to pull out meanings from your head, right? You can see meaning in each one of the cards, I think, very easily. Cards that I've found a personal connection with in this deck have been, in addition to the cards I have already mentioned, and now I have messed up my... I've messed this up. Okay, so I love that the Page of Cups and the Ace of Cups echo each other so well. Yeah, the koi fish here, the cup being both equally large. Love that the water is in the cup here and flowing out of the cup there. I love the combination of these two. I love the Hanged Man. Hanged Man is if you know me, you know the Hanged Man is one of my favorite cards in decks, right? Love this one. Love that the mouse here has a key. The heart here has a lock. So this mouse, with courage, can open up the heart of the Hanged Man, right? Love that we've got the courage here, and we've got the cleverness here, we've got the halo here, we've got the legs in the shape of the four, we've got a spider web here, right? To give us the sense that things are not really moving very much right now. We've got life growing up the tree as well. I love this card. I love the Queen of Swords. Just got to tell you, I love the Queen of Swords. I love her age. I love the way that she is sitting in the chair. I love her hair, right? How it's kind of casual, right? She doesn't give an F about whatever anybody else thinks. She's going to wear her hair the way she's going to wear her hair. Yeah, she's holding her sword up. It's a loose grip, but she's ready to use it, right? She's sitting on a throne of crystals. So there's a sharpness there, a clarity there, a clarity of thought. Look at that crown, how radiates from her mind. Just love this Queen of Swords card. I also love where is it? Where are you, my lovers? Yeah, I love the Lovers card. Now we've got skin diversity here, right? But notice how Cupid has the male-ish figure, the man figure, his heart has been pierced very clearly. But we also have the alchemical echoes through here of the sun and the moon. We've got, you could say, a little bit of gold and... Do we have gold and silver going on? Maybe not so much. But that joining of the binary here, in skin tone, in sun and moon, gives us that alchemical flavor to the deck, and this card in particular. I love the Two of Cups card. Notice we have two male-looking figures in a boat of a moon. Notice that the owl has dropped off a crown of authority, of wedding. No crown there, right? But often when we see diversity of sexuality in decks, almost always the figures in the Two of Cups card, they're women. Not knocking women, love women, but it's nice to have a little bit more balance of sometimes having it two guys, right? So, yeah, love these cards in the deck. So friends, what I'd like to do is I'd like to do two things. And this video is getting a little bit long, I know, but I'd like to do two things. I'd like to, well, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you. I did my deck interview with this spread. My deck interview with this deck. So that is going to be the reading that I'm going to do with this deck. Let me show you that reading right now. So friends, this is that spread that you just saw. right? It's a little big to fit onto camera, but you can basically see all of the cards. And you can see that there are two reversed, right? This deck really did call me to read with reversals. So I'd used it for about a week or so, and going back and referring to the guidebook, I kept thinking, I've got to start shuffling in reversals, and so I did. And then when I finally came to the point where I wanted to do a deck interview with the deck, the reversals were already shuffled in. And so what do we have? Let me tell you what the positions are. Now, this first card is, who are you? This card is, what are your strengths? This is, what are your weaknesses? This card is, what are you here to teach me? This card is, what blessing or benefit can I receive from you? This card is, how can we work best together? And the central card is, what is the probable outcome of our interaction together? So, I'll go back and look at the guidebook a couple of times during this reading for you, because I want to go back and read out to you what the reversed meanings of these cards are in the guidebook. So what do I get here? So who are you? This is a deck of receiving divine inspired information through the mind and through the heart when the mind is at rest. So when mind is at rest, this deck is great at providing information, providing knowledge, providing wisdom. Yeah? And remember, blackbirds, crows, can you see this one? You probably cannot see this, but at the top, let me pull it up. Yeah? At the top of the card here, there is a raven or a crow, which is coming in. So we have that idea of the messenger, but of the birds, this is one of the smartest species of birds there is. Yeah? They might even be self-aware. So we've got our spirit helper of mind, of cleverness, that we can get clever, insightful messages, information from a mind at rest, right? While meditating. And you notice we've also got a little bit of courage here on our shoulder. And this deck will help us to heal and regain our courage, right? So, what is this deck good for? What is the strength? The strength is enjoyment of life, right? It's the Ten of Cups. We increase our fortune, and in our fortune we are emotionally filled, and we can next help fill others with, help support others emotionally, right? We've got the cups up here in the rainbow. Love that. Yeah, there's joy abundant here with family, and that family can be intentional or biological, doesn't matter. We're out here in nature, we're enjoying our lives with Mother Earth. That's how this deck is here to bring us natural joy and natural sustenance that we can then share with others, right? What is its weakness? Well, its weakness is might be a little bit harsh at times, right? And let's look at the Five of Swords reversed in the book. So again, the book is organized by number rather than by suit. So we're looking for the fives. Here, the Five of Pentacles. Before the Pentacles should be the Five of Swords. Okay, yes. Here's the image. Love the bird. Yeah, love the bird up here in the tree, the raven. And so we get that. So this raven is a benefit, but its weakness is this can go awry, I think, right? These clever ideas could go awry. Let's read the reversal of the Five of Swords. Reversal of fortune. Slain with our own sword. Upright our swords are directed externally. Keen to defeat others. In reversed version, we turn our swords inward. Words to ourselves or others have power. Are we using the old tricks of bludgeoning, manipulating, and tricking on ourselves? To what end? If that is too tangled a knot, then simply try new talk. That's right. As is so often the case, the answer is to be smart. Be smart. But sometimes if we're too smart, this deck could point us towards being a little bit self-critical, right? Now let's read what Simone Benoit, the pseudo Simone Benoit, what does she have to say? There is something repellent about the victor in this card. This guy. Most querents won't identify with that character, but rather the victim. Probably this guy. If the querent doth protest too much, assume potential self-deception and proceed with caution. A defensive querent is a dangerous querent. So true, so true. So yeah, we could be, with this deck, we could slip into a little bit of self-criticism. So that's something to be aware of with this deck, perhaps. Number 4, what are you here to teach us? You're here to teach us. So this card for me, the moon card, is also a card of divination. Now, some people would put that on the star card. I tend to put divination here with the moon. So divination is possible here. Yeah, information from the unconscious rising up is possible here. And let me see just quickly, what does the guidebook say about the moon card? Because there is some controversy about reading that card. Yeah? The French saying means entre chien et loup, between dog and wolf. The phrase signifies a quality of light by which it is impossible to distinguish between a dog and wolf. Moonlight. This reinforces the card's basic meaning of confusion, uncertainty, and deception, and is a metaphor for an internal psychological state. But remember, this is what it's here to teach us. Maybe it's here to point out where we are uncertain, point out where our confusion lies. Notice the man-made pool. Yeah, something from Terre de Marseille. A clever insight from the Marseille version, indicating our subconscious. The waves show that the depths have been disturbed and something desperately wants our attention. So it's here to teach us what lies in our unconscious, and that's what I was pointing towards, right? Since we cannot attend to the matter at hand, best to deal with the lobster. In other words, do your shadow work. So this deck can also help us do our shadow work. A wound, trigger, or bias has been activated, causing us to misread the situation. We may be responding to our fear, hurt, shame, or anger that is not based on reality. This card, remember, or at least not the current situation. Figure out what is really going on before making any grand statements or extravagant gestures. So yeah, this card is here to teach, this deck is here to teach us unconscious information, and to be certain that we're not reacting to imagined external triggers, right? But it's also the card of the goddess. If we look at what Simone Benoit says, the rise of modern witchcraft tempted many to turn the moon card into the goddess, which it is not, okay, not according to Simone Benoit. While divinity flows throughout the tarot, the god and goddess are not directly represented. Presumably, they are present in the mixing of the cards as the creators and organizers of reality. So Simone Benoit is asking us to turn away from the idea of the goddess being represented here. But I do see this as a divination card still. So it's here to teach us divination and also what unconscious contents are coming up in whatever matters we are facing at hand. right? So what is the blessing we can receive? The Emperor reversed. So what I get from this is perhaps this deck is here to help us recognize when we're trying to control too much, when we're trying to be bossy, to be in charge, to organize too much. And we see the raven is here again, right? So this raven is popping up here, here, and here. So our thoughts are really important. And the intellectual content of this deck, I think, is very important. Also a raven here, the judgment card. So what is the Emperor reversed? Let's just quickly check on that. According to the guidebook, can life be too organized? All things in moderation, my friend, even moderation. Systems, plans, and schemes should enhance life for everyone. When we start serving them instead of them serving us, something has gone badly wrong. We cannot ignore the fact that this card reverse also indicates someone misusing power or authority. So, this deck is here to point out when we're trying to control things too much, right? When we're trying to get too much under our willpower. And often when we turn to the Tarot, right, we're doing it so that we can get control over what seems like a chaotic situation or something we don't really understand. And the blessing we can receive is not to control things. Yeah, to let things happen naturally. And I think that's what this deck is here to teach us. So how can we best work together? We can best work together with strength. And we see the little mouse here in strength, courage, right? We see the two figures. We can work together by integration, by integrating our conscious and unconscious minds. Conscious and unconscious minds, right? We can work together best by joining aspects of self and coming with the fullness of self to the deck, to reading the deck. Let's just quickly peek at what the Strength card is here to tell us in the guidebook. Lovers, the Chariot. Next should be Strength. Here we are. So, the scariest beast. The Strength card can represent the thoughtful wherewithal required for any conflict. This gentle, loving energy can benefit most disputes, but most especially, we should apply it more to our relationship with ourselves. We often treat aspects of ourselves terribly, as if they are ugly monsters. The interesting chapeau in the image is inspired by the Marseille card. The infinity symbol brim is like the magician's, showing the interconnectedness of all things. So we want to come in connected with ourselves, connected with our unconscious, connected with our shadow. Remember, we're here to do shadow work. We don't want to control things too much. We want to integrate. And that's how we can best work with the deck, by integrating aspects of ourselves and learning to appreciate the fullness of everything that we are. Right? And so, what is the probable outcome of our interaction together? It's waking up, right? This deck is here to wake us up, to hear the call of the divine that this deck is here to help us hear, right? Right here, we got the raven coming down. We've got the thoughts that we're receiving from the divine. That's the purpose or the quality of this deck. And here we have, as the outcome, that reception of the call of the divine. That bird is here, resting and ready to act because we're waking up. And that's what the outcome of working with this deck can be. Waking up to our destiny, to the good fortune that is available to us. So I think this is a really good deck, and the more I use it, the more I see. Those animals there are really helpful to me, reading this deck. Now, do I think this deck is good for everyone? I would say yes, this is a very beginner-friendly deck. The guidebook is very helpful. The guidebook also helps us if we want to explore reading with reversals. Now, there are many different ways of reading with reversals. This deck tends to point towards the movement of the significance of a card into its extreme, rather than blocking or other ways of reading the reversal. For example, Emperor reversed. Emperor, controlling, organizing, right? They said too much control, too much organization. But it could also be, in another way of reading, a lack of organization, a resistance to organizing things, right? In another way, it could be that we're striving, we're trying too hard, or we're running, or another way, we could be running away from, or being afraid of organizing and being in control, right? So the guidebook of this deck really does teach one aspect of reading reversals, but as a first step, that's a wonderful step to take in reading reversals with tarot cards, I believe. I really did feel like my connection with the deck has grown over a month. I felt like I was really building a relationship with the deck and with myself. And I would definitely recommend this deck to anyone who's interested, especially in Smith-Waite reading. Now, if somebody is really interested in learning Thoth or in learning Tarot de Marseille, I would not say this is the best deck. Though there is that sprinkling of Tarot de Marseille in the deck, this is not a Tarot de Marseille learning deck. This is a Smith-Waite learning deck, or a basic entry to Tarot learning deck, I believe. So, I really do enjoy this deck. It's a beautiful deck. I do highly recommend it. I do recall some of those caveats that the cards probably will chip over time if you are an aggressive shuffler like me. The box is strong, but not indestructible. So just remember that. You might want to keep the box separately and cart your cards around in a bag. Just saying. And remember, just like the guidebook said, the cards will do no one any good if they are stuck in the box. We don't want to keep the cards in the cards in the box. We want them to be brought out. So there is that. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you've used this deck or any decks like this by either Barbara Moore or Jessica Roux, let me know in the comments below. Let us know. What do you think of this deck or other decks by Barbara Moore? How do you feel about Barbara Moore's decks? I know that there are some people out there who are not all that interested in her work, but I love her work. I really do love her work. And yeah, I recommend this deck for all the reasons I've mentioned throughout this video. So if you're into tarot reviews, just saying, if you're into tarot reviews and you'd like me to continue this series, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you feel called to chat me up about this deck or about deep dive review videos. I'm hoping to share more insights on different decks in the future. Also, I want to thank you. Thank you in advance for doing those things that you do, hitting the thumbs up button and subscribing. Yeah, all of those things help promote the channel and help our community grow. So thank you for doing those things. Also, if you want a private reading from me with either this deck or any other deck, there will be a QR code popping up and my web address for my online shop. So you can ask for a reading from me. And if you have any suggestions for decks you would like me to review, remember, you can leave those ideas in the comments below, or go to the community tab and find the post that says, give me a recommendation for a deck review. And I'll consider it. If I can get it, I will try my best to do it for us, all of us. Well, friends, there we are. The Good Fortune Tarot. It is good and it is fortunate, I believe. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.